R2 Throwback, of course, talk about some more Final Fantasy XVI, and today we have some honestly fantastic news regarding this game, and it's that it's already gone gold, and we're 2.5 or so, a little less than 3 months from release. And I'm sure most people know what a game going gold means, but it essentially means that the game's done. It's not necessarily like 100% complete. They could still work on the game, polish the game, things like that. But it used to be back in the day when a game went gold, that was like the master copy of the game. They made it on a gold disc. They sent it out to be manufactured and be sold in stores and stuff. Also, when a game goes gold, that means it's been approved by first-party companies to be published on their platform. So generally, that's Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo. But obviously, Final Fantasy XVI is a PlayStation 5 exclusive game, but that doesn't mean that Sony has approved it, of course. What's kind of crazy about this, though, is that generally speaking, a game goes gold like closer to release, like oftentimes weeks from release, maybe like a month or so. But the fact that 16's gone gold, just under 3 months from release is kind of crazy, man. That means like they're way ahead on like development. And again, like that gives them so much time to continue working on the game. Like maybe the game's in a very playable state, a manufacturer-ready state more or less, but that gives them so much more time to make sure, check everything, make sure there's no bugs, glitches, hiccups, things like that. Because they're kind of worried about that with that PAX East showcase that we have in the background here, right? They're kind of kept joking about whether or not the game is going to be buggy or glitch or anything like that, but the fact that they still have a couple months to work on it, like the game should launch in a pretty damn good state. And actually, speaking of the state of the launch of the game, I actually was planning on talking about, okay, the game's gone gold, it's still a few months to work on it, they're super ahead on development, the game should launch perfectly, probably going to be a day one patch, though, because every game has a day one patch. I was going to go on, a boomer rant of missing the old days of when games used to launch, and you could just play them, you just buy a game, pop it in the console, you're good to go, no day one patch. But it turns out the development's going so well for 16 that Yoshi P's hoping there won't be a day one patch. So they had a live letter today for Final Fantasy XIV, which they do these relatively often, where they kind of talk about updates and things for the game. But because of the crossover between 14 and 16 with Yoshi P and some other dev members and things like that, they often give updates and things about 16, and there's this translation that came from the live letter on the Discord. Somebody had mentioned this on Reddit and linked to this image, and it says, talking about 16 and how the master is up, and that he really hopes there won't be a day one patch needed for 16. Which would be absolutely insane, right? Can you imagine, a game of this caliber launching without a day one patch? Is that even possible, man? That'd be kind of crazy. You're talking about a brand new numbered entry in the Final Fantasy series. They're going to a brand new direction with it. It's PS5 only, next gen only, right? For it to not have a day one patch that'd be kind of crazy, dude. And I'm kind of tired of that shit anyways. I'd love to be able to just get a game, pop, install the disc or whatever onto the console and just fucking play it, dude. I just want to play the game. I don't want to sit there for however long and have to fucking update it because y'all couldn't finish making the game in time, right? Obviously, this is exciting right now. All the signs are pointing to very positive things for Final Fantasy XVI, but there still is a few months before the game's going to drop, and they're pretty transparent. Yoshida and CBU3 are pretty open about what's going on with 16 when they're actually talking about the game, of course, right? So I'm sure if there ends up being any problems, any setbacks, or if there ends up needing to be a day one patch at some point, they'll definitely let us know ahead of time, I'm sure. And let's not forget that we're going to get our hands on the game a couple weeks before release, right? We're supposed to have that demo, they say around 2 weeks before release. If we're talking about to the day, that'd obviously be June 8th. And it's supposed to be able to carry our progress into the full game. So that's all exciting, man. I can't wait to actually get my hands on this and play it because it looks so good. Anyways, it's more or less the video, my dudes. Everything's looking great right now, right? All signs are pointing towards 16 launching in a fantastic state. They seem to be really ahead on development. And because of how ahead they seem to be, there shouldn't really be delays, which I think is a fair concern from people because it's Square Enix. Things get delayed very, very often with Square Enix. But also the fact that they're hoping there won't be a day one patch. So everything's looking really good for 16 right now. Anyways, that's the video, my dudes. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Source networks in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @DaveYT. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Low Gain or leave it like Cobain.